And hello everybody, Andreas here from Asia Mind Dynamics with a replay of our video live feed on what it takes to be a real great coach and what are some of the characteristics that a coach would need to have. Now I would love to have a different camera running, but somehow it didn't quite work out the way I wanted. So far I'm working with my Hey Kai, good to see you, my regular guy. Welcome, good evening, okay? Are you the right coach, dear Kai? Are you the right coach? Having the right characteristics of being a great coach? Only you know of. Hey Matt, also good to see you here. It's nice to be online and it's nice to be here once again. Okay guys, and it would be nice if thanks Matt for the art, thanks Matt for the likes. It would be nice if you share this video already with some of your friends so that maybe more people can join us here. Today it's an important topic because the topic is about you. And as I mentioned in an earlier comment on my Facebook page, actually, I've written down over 20 different types of characteristics that a good coach would need to have. And I hope along that line, of course, hey Chester, I hope because along the line that you can share with me, of course, also what are some of the characteristics that you think are important for being a great coach. All right, because characteristics, everybody thinks they have these characteristics. Now I've got a whole list here to go through today. It's 20 points overall. Some of these points are of course very familiar to all of us because hey, I'm coming from NLP, I'm an NLP coach, so automatically some of those things will automatically be coming from NLP. So the first one I think is always one of the very important one is, of course, you do not judge your client. Respect your client, do not judge them. And judge them, it's a German style, J-U-D-G-H, or J-U-D-G-E. This kind of judging I'm talking about, okay? Sorry, my German accent, all right? This is a judging that really needs to be avoided as a coach overall, because that's a characteristic to have, to be able to step back from our own mind and say, hey, I don't judge that person, he is a unique human being. If you judge a client, if you judge a person, then you might be in the wrong business altogether, of course. We need to respect our client in their own unique and sometimes actually really quirky way. Thank you so much, Kai, for that compliment. I have the best accent. And the accent changes wherever I am and however I'm talking and the time we are online and then the time of the day, automatically my accent changes. Forgive me for that one, all right? That's number one. The second characteristic of a client, which I think is important out of my list of 20, is that, well, let me write it down. You need to know your limits. I'm not good in all kinds of areas to coach or to do therapy with people. I'm not good in every area. So sometimes, every now and then, I would need to coach, to refer my clients to different people. There are certain areas I can't coach people in. All right? Feel free to ask any question. Just type them into the comment box. And I'm going to read and I'm going to respond to it straight away. So if you think the coach that you're working with, the client that you're working with is not the right person, is out beyond your scope of expertise, refer them to somebody else. Better than messing them up. You are working with people's mind. Remember that. One of the most important things I believe is it's about change. A client comes to you and they want to change, of course. It's important to change for them at that point of time. However, you might come across coaches and clients who simply say, change me. They want you to change them. Can you really change people? No, you can't change people. It's a mutual process. You are working with people. They change with you. You can't impose change onto people. We all would love to be able to change, to make it the magic, opening the brain and help them to change. and change some of the neurology. We can't do that. They need to be willing to change. Once this is happening, change gets much easier. Coaching, therapy, hypnotherapy is a mutual beneficial process. You both, client and you, working hand in hand to make things happen. Otherwise, if they don't want to change, you can talk until, I don't know, until a long time, and then it's still not change overall. So sometimes if a client does not want to change, it's better to terminate the coaching relationship and say, hey, sorry, you don't want to change. I don't want to have your money. It would be nice to have your money, of course. I'm living off it, but it's frustrating to you. It's frustrating to me. Let's terminate this relationship because it does not work with each other. It's not that you are obliged to work with somebody till the end of the days. Do I make sense? I hope I make sense to you guys. Number 4. So let me just read it up, okay? Number 4 is, you as a coach, you have personal boundaries. And the client should not step onto your personal boundaries. That means if you are stepping onto, or the client also has personal boundaries. So you both need to respect each other's personal boundaries. That means you can't create a relationship with your coachee, with your client, until maybe 6 months or 12 months after the relationship has been terminated, the contract is finished. Then you might reestablish with the coachee, the client might come back to you. Also, of course, if the client is asking you out for dinner, for lunch, even invites you to a function, you can't necessarily say, hey, I'm coming. Because it's about your integrity. It might step across their personal boundaries and your personal boundaries. It's about your integrity. You have a certain integrity. Hey, Ian, good to see you. F5, all right. I'm now at point 4 already, that we need as coaches to respect our personal boundaries. We should not judge a client. We need to be able to work with clients, but it's a mutually beneficial process. They need to change only willingly. You can't enforce their changes if they don't want to change. That was a quick summary. Now comes the real stuff. Patience. Do you think a client or a coach needs to have patience? Yes, you need to be the most patient person in the world when you work with a client. However, you need to have patience with the person. Do not have patience with the person's problem. Sometimes it's okay to just totally bust behaviors, not scold the client, but hey, do not have any patience with their problem. A client has many possibilities to run their problem in many different areas. Do not have any patience. Put the clients on the spot and say, hey, you're reinforcing your problem. I don't like your excuses. This is another excuse. You need to be able to tell the client where they have excuses for not wanting to change, for reinforcing their problem. You need to point this out to your clients. Do have patience with the client, but no patience when they constantly give excuses for running their problems. Very important, comes from NLP. Whatever a behavior, whatever the problem is for the client, whatever problem they do have, every problem has a purpose. Every problem serves a certain purpose. It has served a purpose. It might not serve a purpose right now anymore. See, example might be a phobia. It's not necessarily a coaching relationship, it's more in a therapeutical environment then, but imagine a phobia. A phobia serves a purpose for the client, and the client might have the phobia because they want to protect themselves. A fear of presentation. The client might have a fear of presentation, and the fear has a certain purpose, namely protect the client. Automatically, the purpose is there, protect the client. The fear stays there. So you must take care of that purpose for the client. Otherwise, the fear might get reinstalled. So every behavior, every emotion, positive and negative, there is a purpose behind. Take care of this one. All you need to do, your job as a coach, is kind of update the client's program running. Somewhere inside their mind, somewhere in their life, they're running the problem, and the purpose is and it has been installed a long time back, like a phobia. However, right now it doesn't serve any purpose anymore, like a fear of presentation. A fear of presentation might be useful for, let's say, a fresh grad just joining an organization. But as a person gets promoted to different levels, becomes director level or manager level, or hey, even senior executive level, there is no purpose for that fear anymore of presentation. The person must be able to start presenting. Automatically, you are updating the program. It was useful during school time, now no more. Update it. So take care of the purpose, but inform that line that's just updating the program, like rerunning something. As a coach, you need to think ecologically. I'm not sure if all of you know NLP. However, ecologically means you need to watch out if you make a change in the client's life, that you are taking care of their lifestyle. Every behavior is useful in a certain context, not in another context. And the other context is where you're changing. So you need to think ecologically. What is it about the problem? In what other area is that useful? So as a coach, you need to be able to think broad-based in different context areas. Do I make sense so far, guys? Do you like what you're hearing? Do I deliver some value here? If I deliver some value, please give me a like. It would be lovely to get the likes to hear or to see. Alright? Give me some likes, and again, share this video if you would, because other people deserve to have that. Thanks, Justin. Nice. Every problem has a purpose. Never thought of that. Yes. It takes time to think through this one every now and then. It's like, wow. But hey, we've talked about it in your NLP training. Every behavior, intention, every problem's got a purpose. A positive intention is always running behind. Now, where are we right now? Oh, a coach needs to be flexible. You need to be very, very flexible. Why do you think you need to be flexible? Because the coachee, and I indicated it earlier, the coachee's ability is to run their problem in many different areas. They have excuses for many areas of their life for having that problem. So automatically, you need to be very, very fast in your thinking and flexible. That if also when you do an intervention with a client, that one intervention might not work in that level as you planned it out, automatically you need to restructure your thinking and then reinforce your intervention through a different intervention. So you might skip one and move into something else immediately, instantly, thinking on your feet. Extremely important as a coach, and flexible beyond anything. And that means you need to have the knowledge to open your own inner toolbox in your mind, open it up and take different interventions, different tools to throw everything you've got at the client's problem. So you need to be honest. That's clear, not holding back. Sometimes we are too nice. We want to not hurt the client. However, we need to be brutally honest. We need to tell them things that they might not want to hear. And that means you got to identify where you need to be brutally honest. What sometimes literally slap the client and tell them, hey, it's an excuse again. You're giving an excuse again. Mr. Klein, have you ever thought of that one? I don't tolerate the excuses. Put a stop to it sometimes. If the client gives too many excuses, maybe they are not coachable. But you need to be brutally honest. That next step I'm sharing with you, we are already at number 10. The next step I'm sharing with you is something that you can only learn as you capture your experience, as you learn from experience. And that means connecting the dots, listening to what the client is saying, listening carefully, and then realizing in certain areas, connecting the dots. That means you need to, a client is speaking from one part of the experience. But as you capture and as you're talking and as you're interacting with your clients, you need to realize, hey, this one and that one is connected. There's different areas which are what the client is not seeing, but you are a navigator in the client's mind. You are navigating their mind and you are finding the dots. If that problem they're running is also possibly occurring somewhere differently in their professional life or in their personal life. Where is it coming from? See, when you take a personal history with a client, you're talking to the client and you're talking about their past experience and you're talking about their education and how they grew up. And then you realize, easy example, how the father, how the family, where they grew up and interacted is a direct linkage to the person's current problem. And this is something sometimes you have to, as I mentioned earlier, be brutally honest and tell the client, have you realized that how your father treated you is how you are right now treating your children or interacting with your employees? So that they're learning that, hey, I'm just adopting the behavior that my father had. My father imposed it onto me. I'm doing the same thing with my kids. I'm doing the same thing with my own adult employees, executive. So you got to tell them the line. You got to connect the dots. Where is that problem hiding in other areas of their life? You are a navigator. You are a captain of the client's life at that point of time. And I think it's pretty cool sometimes, seriously speaking, when you're realizing, hey, here's that problem and you're connecting different dots together. It gives me personally the thrill to work with the client. Oh, forgot to say earlier, one of the most important characteristics, of course, is you need to like people. You need to want to interact with people, and you need to be able to dig into their mind and dig into their unconscious mind and dig out problems. And ultimately, I will share that later again. You need to be able to tolerate if the client is giving you lots of negative stuff. Initially, they talk negatively. The client wants to talk to you negatively, automatically. And that means, hey, you've got to be able to tolerate their negativity, initially at least, until you understand the problem. You've got to talk about the problem for a longer period of time. Sorry, I banged the table. So you need to be able to tolerate their negativity, interestingly. All right? The next point is, we are getting to communication. You need to study communication. You need to study language. You need to be, and that doesn't mean that you need to be able to speak good English or so. No, not like that. But you need to listen to the words your client says and listen to what do they really say when they talk? What is the language beyond? When they're saying something? What is their map of the world, their belief system, and they're expressing it through the language? What do they believe when they talk? And you need to study language, you need to study communication, and you need to study the words that they're using. And every word comes from the client's mind, is a description of what's really going on in their mind. It's indicating to you if they believe they can achieve something or not. Listen to the language the client is saying or using. You must be aware of your responsibility, and that requires you to have a great training, because you have a huge responsibility. You need to respect the client, and you need to be aware if you make and work with the client together, automatically they are achieving changes. They are making changes at the unconscious level or in their so-called normal life. That gives you, Mr. Coach, Mrs. Coach, a huge responsibility to take care of the client. The client's mind is strong, okay, but you need to have the responsibility to really make the changes ecologically for them so they can survive after the training. They can run their life again. So you have a huge responsibility as a coach, and that really requires you to search out for good trainings, but don't stop at training. Practice, practice, practice until you really get good at it. So when you have responsibility, that also requires you to watch out how you speak to your client, that you're avoiding installing negativity. Every word you say, because you are in a certain position of authority, every word you say might, every word you say might be like a bullet into the client's unconscious mind. Automatically it might mean that you're installing something that you actually maybe not intended. So you need to be careful with what you're saying. What is a possibility of installing something negative? Your client comes to you because they want to achieve positive change most of the time. Always, actually. I was a noober most of the time. I would have loved it. I never had a client who wanted to have negative changes overall, okay? Alright, guys. Let me invite you one more time. It would be nice if you were to take the chance to share this video on your timeline so your friends can get notified about this video, this live session here right now, and maybe join us in or at least have a chance to watch it later. That would be wonderful, lovely if you were to do this right now. Share this video. Also, if I may say so, and I want to put this up already immediately, I would love you if you are asking more questions, and at a later stage subscribe to our YouTube channel. This video also goes onto a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is in Asia Mind Dynamics. So if you were to go to Asia Mind Dynamics, go to YouTube, type in Asia Mind Dynamics and subscribe to the channel. So we have a little bit more subscribers, and I'm adding in more videos anyway that I'm not sharing here necessarily in the live feed. Also, of course, that you have updates when I post other videos of people that I'm subscribing to. As a good coach, you need to be able to listen. But not just, listen of course, but listen to the words somebody says, your client says, but also stop your inner self-talk. People, many times we have that little inner self-talk that is hard to switch off. You need to switch it off. Or, if you can't switch it off, then at least be able to have the self-talk, plus be able to listen to your coachee, to the client. That's an ability to have. It took me years to figure that out, how to do that I can listen to the client while thinking about what does it actually mean, how do I intervene, what else can I do, take notes inside my own head of what do I need to probe on at a later stage. You need to also listen out to the client's unspoken assumptions in their language. The ability to ask great questions, not just any questions. In NLP, in neuro-linguistic programming, we are learning the meta model. This is a great tool. But some people learn meta modeling, asking questioning without any reason. You need to be able to have purpose behind your question. What does your question what is the intent of your question that you desire to achieve? What is the purpose? What do you challenge the client for? I do know when we ask questions through the meta model, every sentence the client says we can ask 20, 30, 40 questions. It might freak the client out if you ask too many questions. So, when you ask questions, you need to have purposeful questions. Purposeful questions that dig up great information from the client. It's mind that you can utilize in your further coaching intervention. Also, I'm in NLP practitioner training. Many times people say, don't ask why questions. Why are terrible questions? There's a purpose for a why question as well. So every now and then it's okay to ask a why question. But if you always ask why questions, that might not be useful, because a why question creates justification. And you don't want to always have that justification of the client's mind. Ask somebody to ask you why all the time, and you realize how negative it feels within you sometimes. So the how and the what question that you are learning in the, or what if question you're learning in the NLP meta model are wonderful, are fantastic questions, but have a purpose. I'm coming to a lot of purpose today. Have a purpose for all the questions. A good coach is able to be a guide. You're asking a guide. A couple of times in my Facebook live sessions, there was a question about can we ask or can we give suggestions? And I'm a strong believer, yes, you can give suggestions. But give suggestions that are purposeful. Give suggestions that are not installing in the client's mind of negativity. Give suggestions which allow the client to push back. So the client can say, nope, that doesn't apply to me. So you must be really be aware of the suggestion you give. With your coach as a coach, you also need to have empathy with your client. You need to feel empathetic with your client. What does I mean by that? You need to be able to feel with the client and the terrible situation they are in. Automatically, there is a problem on their side. You need to feel the problem. However, do not get hypnotized by the client's problem. That you are meaning, ultimately, you're just starting to bitch about the problem and get hypnotized and just talk about the problem, and you feel how bad the client feels, and that's terrible. Do not get hypnotized by the client's problem. Your job is to bring them out of a negative trance into a positive trance. That's important. Next, you need to get feedback from your client. A coach is able to accept feedback. Some coaches might give you, some clients might give you great feedback. So I like to ask my coachee, my client, if they like the session and what shall be done differently the next time around, because it's a mutual process. I'm not saying that I'm always the best. I'm learning from my clients. I'm learning from my students all the time. It's good to fail sometimes, because if I fail, I've learned something new again. So automatically, hey, I learn by failing. I learn through the client's feedback. Automatically, I'm happy because I get better, and that leads me to the next point. Automatically. That we as coaches need to constantly update our knowledge. Do not ever get stuck in your current knowledge. You need to be able to constantly get better and better and better. First of all, coming from a competitive mindset, maybe, your competitors also will upgrade their knowledge. So automatically, if you don't upgrade your knowledge, you stay behind. You're left behind. But also, there's constantly an update about neuroscience, behavioral science, thinking about different problems, and you need to be updated. If you don't know the newest research on leadership, if you're a leadership executive coach, you don't know the newest research on neurology or on behavioral science, then you might have a problem, because you might give old stuff to your client. That is not good. Okay, because a coachee nowadays is also reading up in the internet about their problem. They know a lot. They know a lot about their problem before they come to you. And maybe let me just sit down better now. And the last belief that I need to believe, and Justin, you might like that. A great coach believes in their clients. You must believe in the goodness of your clients. You must look beyond the problem. You must also believe that your client can change. Now, earlier I said maybe it's hard, or coaching is a mutual process, and do not coach somebody who does not want to be coached. But you must believe that your client can change. You must believe your client is ready for change, and you must, in cooperation with your client, believe in the magnificence of the client. Give your client hope from the first moment onwards. And that was one of the most important lessons that I've learned in my coaching experience, that the coachee, in the first session that you are with your client, needs to know there's hope for them, that they have a chance to get over their problem. Alright guys, these were my points on characteristics of a great coach. So I wish you go out and you create a wonderful environment. You transform the planet, you transform the world, you transform the individual that you are working with. Again, feel free to share this video across your timeline so more people can read it and listen to it and watch it on Facebook or elsewhere. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Would be lovely if you were to do that. Alright, and for the time being, thank you very much and create your life. Bye bye.